And we're back with some more oxygen not included on Oasis. And right now we're about to get in our last big haul of insulation. Well, isoresin so that we can make some more insulation. Our rockets have returned. Finally. Okay, that was too slow. Come on, hurry up, hurry up. This will provide us hopefully with enough insulation to finish off all of what we've been trying to build in terms of the rocketry section. And who's getting scalded? Why? Why are you getting... Oh, well, okay, you flew through some steam. Get it, I get it. Anyway, that's that done. Now, I did use these rockets twice. I used them once, I sent them off, and then, I left my computer running and we did some stuff. When I came back, they were back, so I sent them off again, and then, well, I had other things I had to do. So they technically got 2 seasons, which is better than their counterparts got, so I think it all works out. The research ships have all finished their exploration as well, so all the planets have been scouted, all the resources have been collected. All we need to do now is install all the rockets and get this whole thingamajig up and running. So while all of this insulation is going to get, or isoresin is going to get turned into insulation, there's about 4 tons of the stuff. Once that 4 tons of isoresin is converted into insulation, we can start. In the meantime, I am going to continue filling this place up with water. The water count in here is getting quite nice. At the same time, I've been taming some of the steam vents. Okay, that's almost, we got about 25% of that tank full? Maybe 20. So I've been taming steam vents around the map, and I've been using the water from those steam vents to dump back in here. Now, unfortunately, this was getting very hot. Oh my god, it's still getting hot. So what I did was I did that little liquid overpressurization trick. I didn't want to do it. I didn't really think it was a good idea, but it was getting way too hot in here. So this is dumping in the water. It's recycling the water and trying to cool this area down. On the bright side, this does mean I'll have more time for cooling. The power generated will instead be dumped into more and more cooling. Down here, we're already looking at... Yeah, we're down in like 10 degrees or so. If we check the temperature overlay. Yep, that's pretty healthy. Though, the edge pieces over here, maybe not so much. They were around earlier, so they're 40 degrees. It's really hard to tell. That's 48 degrees. This stuff over here, some of it's 60 to 70 and still, no. Anyway, at this rate, we should be able to get quite a lot of freezing going on down here. Alright, but that's all for later. That's all for later. For the time being, I'm just going to do up the isoresin and tap into one last steam vent. So, while all of this insulation is getting produced and putting quite a nice strain on my power grid, I think we're up to about 20 kilowatts of draw, which we're spiking over 20 kilowatts. The old grids would have broken by now, which is not bad. But while that is all going on, I threw in a few things. One is this co-steam vent tamer right here. I just threw in a quick one down there to take care of that. And why have you no water in you? If the temperature is above that... Oh, wait, yeah, this thing is still dormant. Never mind. Okay, so I threw in that steam vent tamer. I also threw in another steam vent tamer down here. Same exact design. And then I threw a third one in over here. This one is in nice and tight against my farm section, so I got all 3 of those. Now, all 3 of those, in one way or another, they all feed back to either this tank or this tank down here, down at the bottom. So we're still filling this up. Water levels still looking good, and I'm dumping in as much water as I can, just to help speed along turning that into a frozen core. Now, over here we've got the steam box. It's still it's starting to cool down now. With this constantly dumping in 10 kilos of water per second, I think we're finally managing to catch up with the cooling. Once it drops below 199 degrees, it'll stop dumping the water in there, and we can go back to dumping the water back into into our future iceberg. Now, still have so much more insulation to go, though. I've stripped out the last of those rockets. I'm going to have to strip out these as well. These rockets here have served their purpose. They have served us well, I should say. Insulation, 162 tons, should be enough to do what we're trying to do, and we've still got enough isoresin left, almost a ton of isoresin left to go through. Anyway, I'll skip this forward a bit, rip these out, and get ready for rocket placement. Finally, all the insulation is made, everything is ready to go, all the preparations, the long, long preparations for this moment. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 8 petroleum rockets. And for hydrogen, we're going to want... We fit. Yep, right over there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Come on, 12. This is 12 hydrogen rockets. Nice. Then I've got to give them all liquid oxidizers. Oh, the game's getting a bit chuggish. It seems to have a bit of a problem when it's dealing with rockets launching and landing. There's a patch coming out that is hopefully going to fix that. Something to do with animations happening, or moving animations. So while rockets are landing and taking off, my game just slows to a crawl. And here I am queuing up 20 more rockets just to make it even faster. Alex, see, now it's back to normal again. Perfect, perfect. Anyway, I'll just, we'll get this bottom row in and then we can put in the solid oxidizer, or the liquid oxidizer tanks. Oh, should probably point out, steel-wise, we're looking at about 107 tons right now, though that's about to plummet as we put these rockets together. Ah, what a beautiful sight. And let's get some liquid oxidizers on top of these suckers and start getting them prepped. Why won't you? Oh, great, the animation's glitched out. Never mind. Wait, I've lost count. How many is that? Oh, it's starting to chug again. I'm pretty sure there's a rocket launching or landing right now. Come on, you can do it. And the animation came back as well. Damn. That game just does not want to move. All right, there we go. We're back to about normal. What's our frames per second now? We're looking at about 9 to 16 frames per second. Oh, sweetness. Soon we will have a glorious launch. Now, maybe this seems a little crazy showing you all of this, but I really do like the ability to just side drag fuel tanks like this when it comes to building rockets. Normally rockets, you know what, I'm going to pause the game so we can do this a bit faster. Normally building rockets is a bit of a pain because, well, you can only build them one layer at a time, so you have to build one section, then wait, build the second section. But this way I get to place, 20 rocket sections all at once. It's very rare you get to do something that awesome. Oh, that reminds me, I'm going to have to delete those ladder segments up there as well. They all have to go. All the rockets are going to have a different amount of, well, not all of them, but they're going to have a varied amount of fuel on them, so I'm putting on the cargo modules all on the same level, even though some of the cargo bays will be taller, or some of these rockets will have more liquid fuel tanks going on top of these, so they won't all be command capsules on top. The reason for that is, I'm not going to be using doors. Same as over this side, there's going to be no doors on this. This thing is really compressed. So at the same time, I want all of the shipping rails to be at the same level, and I want them to be as high up as possible, because regolith's going to accumulate in here while the rockets are away, and some of these rockets are going to be away for, 45, 50 cycles type of thing. So while they're away, I don't want the regolith getting up so high that the shipping rails are passing through it, otherwise stuff that's coming by might just melt on the rail. So I like to try and avoid that if at all possible. So that's why I'm trying to get those up as high as I can. There's a few suggestions that I should take the fuel tanks, leave the cargo modules on the bottom and put the fuel tanks above them so that the fuel tanks are further away from the exhaust. That it's not really that big a deal when we're dealing with this, because we'll be using nothing but insulated piping. And since we're using nothing but insulated piping, it doesn't matter what you do to it. You can't melt the stuff. A rocket exhaust won't even cause anything to it. So we're safe on that front, since we're going to be using nothing but insulated piping, except for the petroleum rockets. We'll see what happens with the petroleum ones. The petroleum ones could potentially boil, but we'll probably be fine. Probably. Anyway, I'll skip this forward until all the cargo modules are in place. Fun note, turns out that all of my rockets will require at least 2 fuel tanks on this side. All the petroleum ones are going to the closest one, so they require 2 fuel tanks, which means I could probably scooch up all those cargo modules just one more level, so long as I'm willing to put in the time. And there we have them all scooched up. I'm honestly not sure if I really need to scooch them up that high, but, well, you know what? I'd committed to it, so I might as well. For the conveyor rail, we are just going to run one single conveyor rail through all of these. The reason being, some of these are going to be, 50 cycles or so before they get back to base. I think we have plenty of time to run them all on a single conveyor rail. It'll make things much simpler, and at that height, hopefully the regolith should never intersect it. Hopefully. Anyway, once that is all done, oh, you know what? We can queue up the command modules as well right here. Yeah, it's a bit awkward. I have to try and figure out where each rocket is going. What I've done is I've arranged the rockets in order of they're going to be going to the closest planets first. It would be better if I arranged them slightly differently, but you know what? I want to have them all nice and neatly organized, where everything from the left to right... Oh, come on. Game's a bit laggy. So that everything going from left to right is from the closest planet to the furthest planet. It's not completely necessary, but aesthetically wise, that's what I want to go for. Wait, aesthetics is not the right word for that. That's more... It appeals to my sense of neatness. If I have all the rockets on the left to right being from the closest planet to the furthest planet, I just prefer it that way. Unfortunately, some of them, of course, will be a bit bigger because petroleum works out a bit different to hydrogen when it comes down to things. You know what? I'm fine with it. This should be pretty epic when it launches. The plan is to delete the roof tiles when the time comes. Anyway, I'm just going to fast forward this, and I'm going to have to start organizing fuel for these, or figuring out what fuel each one of them takes. Before I even bother hooking it up, I'm going to put in the numbers. So I have to work out which planet each one of these is going to and how much fuel each one is going to carry. This will take a minute. Oh, yeah. No, I remember this from the last time I was doing more than one or two rockets. When you build the command capsules, that's the order in which they appear in your star map. So every time I build a command capsule, the rocket will appear, and that will be the first rocket to show up. So, for example, here, when I built these original rockets, for example, Babylon 5 here is going into the 4K planet, Farscape is going to the closest ring, and then this one's going to the 3rd K ring. They're all completely randomized. However, these newer rockets are going to be done in order. So let's see, Scientific Explorer 7 and Interstellar Mark 3 should be the first 2 rockets. Scientific Explorer and Interstellar Mark 3. Yeah. So I'm building these command capsules in the order I want them to appear in the star map. This will take me a little bit longer, but it will make it so much more convenient when I go to rename the lot of them and when I go to organize what planets they're going to. Well, that's the theory. A quick plumbing install job where we just run an awful lot of plumbing. For the oxygen, I'm just having it come across here, and literally it just hops across on as many bridges as I can squeeze in the middle, and then I hook it up just in the in-between parts with insulation. At the moment, I'm not finishing off that bottom row. What I'm trying to do is hook up the hydrogen pipes first. I want to start dumping hydrogen into these tanks because currently the hydrogen I'm producing is, well, it's being dumped off into space because I have too much hydrogen. So I want to start draining some of the liquid out of this tank and putting that liquid into my into my rockets, at which point that hydrogen will stop going to a waste and will instead start being dumped into my and getting liquefied. It's going to be, I should have a perfect balance. It's going to take me less than 3 kilos of oxygen per second to keep all these rockets running, and it's going to take me just under a kilo of hydrogen to keep all of these rockets running. So I should theoretically be able to manage this. Probably, most likely. Anyway, I'm going to skip this forward until some more of this plumbing goes in. Petroleum-wise, the petroleum, much simpler to do. All I did was I ran a liquid pipe from here, which is running off this main petroleum spine that feeds everything. All of my petroleum rockets are only going to use about 3.5 kilos of petroleum per second. So one pipe is more than enough to carry everything. Even with all these jet suits thrown in, they use tiny amounts. I do need to get in a bit of a buffer, though, I think. I'm going to need to put in, say, about 20 tons of buffer tank. I've got one there. I might just plug that into the system. Might be an idea. As you can see down here, the overflow doesn't kick in very often. The reason being this thing does process about 9.75 kilos of petroleum per second, so it takes it a little time to calm down and overflow. Anyway, I've got all the numbers on these set, so all of these have been configured. Except for the fuel tanks themselves, just the liquid oxygen tanks, I've set those up. Now I'm going to have to go through and configure all of these. Then I have to go through and pick out all the astronaut names from the last video. You know, I'm going to have to rush if I want to get this all out by 4:30 today. Anyway, I'm going to go set up these fuel tanks, then I'm going to go pull all the names and we can get ourselves around to some final astronaut names. This is the kind of frames per second you can expect when you have allowed 30 duplicants access to rocket suits. Or jet suits. I set up all the astronauts, and then I gave them access through here into the air. I thought, I'll just dump them all and allow them in now, let them finish off all the piping, and that should, allow me to finish off the piping really quickly. Unfortunately, the pathing requirements for having 30 duplicants with access to jet suits is absolutely astronomical. So I've started assigning out. I've started assigning them to the rockets right now. The rockets aren't fueled. Well, most of them aren't fueled. The rockets aren't fueled, but I've started dumping the astronauts into their rockets just so that they'll stop taking up calculation space. I think I'm going to have to put them all in and then just rely on the 8 duplicants I normally have to finish off building this. Yeah, I think that's going to be the plan. Wow, what are we up to? We got 3 frames per second. I was getting a lot more than that, but now it's completely tanked. Jet suits, they still need maybe just a teeny more optimization, just a teeny. I have assigned all of the astronauts to all of the capsules. The only one who won't get on board is not enough Armstrongs. Yeah, that guy made the cut, it seems. we'll go through the names of all the astronaut names that made it, but not enough Armstrong will not get into his capsule for any reason whatsoever. So it's probably going to require a reload, and then he'll happily get in. But until then, what we're going to do is we're just going to finish off all the piping here. It's taking quite a while to do up that much piping. How do we work out on insulation? Insulation-wise, we've got 75 tons left. May have overproduced the insulation. You know what? I'm okay with that. Steel-wise, we've still got 72 tons of steel left. Well, I'm going to have to do a post-mortem on this map afterwards just to point out some of the really good things about the maps types and all the things that were done on this, like having a subsurface ocean, irregular oil, all that stuff. There was quite a few changes. The map modifiers made quite a few changes. Anyway, these 8 rockets are still going, but these ones, they've got to be fueled. It's going to take a while. At 10 kilos per second, we've got only the first 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I haven't even finished fueling all the petroleum ones yet. But I will go and get a cup of tea, and we will fast forward this, and when we come back in, we should have most of these rockets fueled and ready for a nice launch. I'm going to have to pick a music song or something for this. Anyway, I'll skip it forward a bit until either we're ready to launch or something else interesting happens. I managed to get not enough Armstrongs into their rocket. I had to reload the game. Unfortunately, every time you reload, all the graphs here on the side of the tanks go out of sync. So since I've reloaded, I can't see... all these tanks are full, but they're not going to show it. All the ones that are currently filling will be fine, which I'm kind of annoyed by that. I would have preferred if all the tanks were nice and green and full, but I couldn't find a way to get the duplicate in. I could have, tried deconstructing the command capsule and recreating it, but then it would have been out of order. Ooh, that reminds me. I have to rename all these command capsules to something more appropriate. One moment. And we have them all set up. Every single rocket has a duplicate in it. All of them have been assigned their names. Let's have a quick look through what we called all the rockets. I decided to name all the rockets after TV shows I've seen that were hopefully sci-fi. Unfortunately, I ran out of TV shows. I've seen a lot of TV shows, but not enough to name 28 rockets. So we've got Babylon 5, Farscape, First Wave, The Expanse, Firefly, Battlestar Galactica, the second one, not the original, I've never seen that one, Killjoys, Stargate SG-1, Dark Matter, Lex, Ghost in the Shell, Continuum, Altered Carbon, Defiance, Lost in Space, that new one they put out on Netflix. It wasn't great, but I watched it anyway. DS9, Next Generation, Neon Genesis Evangelion, Final Space, Red Dwarf, Earth Final Conflict, Cowboy Bebop, Warehouse 13. Yeah, at this point I was running out of sci-fi shows. So Warehouse 13 got in. The X-Files, Falling Skies, The Boys, well, because I watched that recently and I really enjoyed it. Samurai Champloo. Like I said, I ran out of sci-fi shows. And Supernatural, because, I got sucked into that I was trapped on a farm for a few months. It's a long story. Anyway, that's all of the rocket setup. 4 duplicate names when it comes down to... to astronauts. Now, it's going to be easier to go through this way. Going to the doors method was taking too long. Let's see. We've got Crichton, Neil Dupstrong. Crichton, Neil Dupstrong. One step for what? Yeah, never mind. Dupe Skywalker, Major Tom. There was a lot of recommendations for Major Tom. Buzz Dupier, Jebediah Kierman, Arm Neil Strong, Lister, Count Dupula, Elton John, William Shatner, Neil Armstrong, Izzy, Lizzie, Mizzy, Snizzy, Pazuzu, Princess Lyra, John Luke Dupcard, Not Enough Armstrong with some sort of weird spelling, Ginger Space, Comrade Yuri Gagarin, Buzz Aldrin, Dupe Musk, Scary Space, Baby Space, Posh Space, Sporty Space, and I think they were all supposed to be beside Ginger Space, but whatever. So that's 28 astronauts all lined up in all of those, which means our population count is now only 20 because 28 of our population, over half of our population, is in rockets. So, after way too much messing around, I tried to remove the bunker tiles and my rockets wouldn't launch. And after spending, believe it or not, about 2 hours fiddling around, I realized the reason my rockets weren't launching when I removed the bunker tiles was I forgot to put in the automation wires. And the only way I remembered it was I went back and watched my previous video on when I did the other 8 rockets over the other side. Yes, I wasted over 2 hours doing something where I could have just watched my own video and figured it out. Yes, not my smartest moment. However, it is all done. We are set up. We are ready to rock. You know what? I am going to wait until the nighttime shift passes before I set this up. I don't want to have to go through another save, just in case there's a save scheduled at this nighttime. No save scheduled. Let's get this deconstruction underway. Now, I've saved the game at this point. So if you would like to... So I've included the save game file with this. So if you would like to try this yourself, you totally can. Ooh, before we get started with this, I want to do a top up, a maintenance top up. Well, I've been at this for a while today, and yeah, those couple of 2 hours I actually had to spend them doing something, and I'd already started on my maintenance. So, yeah, also I missed dinner, so liquid lunch was probably not good. Oh yes, okay, so that's scheduled. We'll do that. We'll go into screenshot mode, and then we'll, yeah, there, perfect. That is a proper view. Yeah, let's see if these get, well, let's see if this works right. I really hope it does. After all the attempts I've made so far, I'm hopeful that this will work out okay. Oop, there goes the first one. You know what? Oh, music. I used this guy already, but he does good tunes. Godspeed. Unsuccessfully resisting the urge to say, "Fly, my pretties, fly." Okay. Now we're onto the hydrogen rockets. That's going to be a lot of steam and heat to deal with later, but yeah, I think that worked out pretty good. Totally worth the investment of time. Oh man, okay, there was a lot of hours put into that, but still totally worth it. Now, all of those rockets will just keep rotating back and forth again and again and again. They won't stop. We've got all the plumbing set up for them. So where is it? Yeah, that will just keep feeding them oxygen, petroleum, and liquid hydrogen. How's our oxygen tank looking? Not too bad. Hydrogen tank, yeah, they've definitely taken a hit, but that was because they built us up. Ooh, what happened here? Ah, yes, I was draining all the liquid out of this. I'm going to have to do a quick change on this so this rotates around better. I don't want these rockets sitting here, otherwise they can and will get buried. If a liquid tank gets buried, so like this liquid oxidizer tank, if it gets buried, it will stop filling up. So this one stopped filling up, and this one, yeah, also the same thing. That was because I was siphoning off the oxygen off. Siphoning all the oxygen off to the other systems. I'll do a little bit of a change around here and fix it up. It shouldn't be too much of a problem. Much better. I've made that all out of insulation. Now there's no ceramics left involved in any of the liquid hydrogen or liquid oxygen. And those tanks should fill back up pretty quickly. If I've done my math correctly, we should have enough liquid oxygen and hydrogen to keep this going forever. Now, unfortunately, that took a lot longer than I thought. The reason being, well, I've only got 20 duplicants left. The rest of them are all off in space. I had to repurpose a few of the duplicants. I didn't hire as astronauts just to squeeze everything in. And I've left some space here on the side so we can launch one final rocket to the endpoint destination. The, was it at the end? Yes, the temporal tear. So we're going to be sending a rocket out to the temporal tear at the very end, just when we want to finish this off. However, oh, yes, how are we getting along at creating an iceberg? Well, a little bit too fast, actually. I may have set the temperatures on this too low and it started to freeze this whole area. We've got some minus 52 degree ice blocks that formed here. I'll make some modifications. I've changed it down to 2C, so that'll be fine. I'll make some changes here in the background. I'm going to need to get in a lot more water as well. Though I think now that I've stopped freezing it all the moment it hits it, that should be better. I'll have to make a few changes up here as well. How much water we got? I don't know that. I'm going to throw in all of the liquid brine that I collect. That's all going to go in there. So brine and a few other bits and pieces will get dumped in here. Anyway, I'll cut this all out here. I think we've covered enough for one video. Apologies for the delay in getting this video up. It's just it took me an awful long time to figure out why the rockets were not launching when I deleted it, and I really wanted them to launch in order as the duplicants to the covering. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and good luck.